Hi, welcome to my channel, Notes by LaRue. It is yours truly, Deetra LaRue, and here I strive to bring you hope, motivation, and encouragement one note at a time. If you are new to my channel and would like to become one of my beloved note takers, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. Now that the rules are out of the way, please grab a pen and a pad and prepare to take some notes because class is officially in session. Sometimes I feel like my intro can be a bit of a mouthful and so draining. And speaking of draining, today we are going to be talking about being emotionally drained. What does it mean to be emotionally drained and what you can do to prevent it? If you see me looking down, it's because I have my lovely notes. After all, I'm a note taker myself. But a few points that I want to discuss today about being emotionally drained is going to be high performing job, which is the first one. And I'm going to give you a scenario with each bullet point. I know for me, when I was working in the enrollment management job at my previous employer, it was such a high demanding job, such a very stressful job, almost to the point that I wanted to quit every single day. In fact, I think I did quit every single day, but I just didn't know it. In my mind, I quit it, but of course, physically, I was still present, which is something that I need to work on because I'm always trying to be present for others, but I'm never in attendance for myself. But that's just a separate issue. But I know when I worked in that department, I was so exhausted. I was so tired. I felt like I never had any time for myself. Even my lunch break was not even enough time because I was rushing to eat because I had to hurry up and get back to the office because, hey, we got to enroll students. We got to meet these quotas. We got to get these numbers up. And I was so busy trying to get those numbers up that I neglected myself, my physical and my mental health. It took a toll on me. I've always suffered from migraines anyway, but it really just intensified them. Almost to the point where I would have to go in a room, close the door, turn the AC on as low as it can go because I needed that room freezing cold to help me be able to deal with that headache. At the end of the day, I did it because I wanted my job. I needed my job. But something that I have learned now is I don't care. This is me talking for me. I don't care how stressful a job is, how demanding the job is. I'm just not going to do it. And I've already made mention in my last video. I can't see myself working for nobody else anyway. I'm an entrepreneur, so I work for myself. So no stress this way. But another way that you can be stressed is your family. I know we love them dearly. Yes, we do. But your family can be so draining at times, especially if you have a spouse or if you have children. I'm not saying leave your husband out, and I'm not telling you put them kids out because you had them, you got to take care of them. What I am saying is there comes a point in time where you have to set aside some time for yourself. I don't care if it's 5-10 minutes you going off to have you some coffee, take you a swig or drink, whatever your preference of drink is that you choose. But just have it a long time for yourself. That'll give you time to replenish, replete, re-energize, and then that way you can go back into whatever it was you were doing and be able to successfully complete your task. Another thing is going to be school. This is a very big one and one that is personal and dear to my heart because quite a few of my students, my nursing students, who I'm almost in contact with all of them, I can't tell you how many times they have come into my office, sitting in my chair, and I didn't even have to say nothing. They would just sit there and they would just like, Miss B, just don't say nothing. Just let me sit here for a minute. I just need this alone time. I need this silence. I need this quietness. I need my peace of mind. And I allowed them to do that because I knew all that they were experiencing in school. You got like 6 classes at one time. You're dealing with your clinicals. You're dealing with mean professors. I've witnessed some of the professors to be mean to them. You're dealing with mean professors. You're dealing with significant others, spouses. On top of that, you're dealing with children. And some of them were bold and so brave, yet so foolish to be working. Because they tell you typically when you're in nursing school, you can't work because of the demands of the program and how rigorous it is. But I would always tell my students, hey, listen, when you're going on your breaks, your 5 to 10 minute breaks between class, come into my office. Just sit down. I'll step out. You can cut the lights off. You can lay down on the couch. You can get your woos off for those 5-10 minutes, collect yourself, and then go back to class. And opposed to allowing their battery cell, I should say, to be drained dead. So that was just one of the ways that I've always tell my students to replenish and recuperate. Another reason for being drained, and this one is so dear and near to me, friends. Yes, your friendships can be very draining. I had to think about what I was going to say, but I had this ex-friend, and notice she's an ex-friend for a reason, who always needed something, and she always needed somebody, and I don't know why, but somebody was always me. I always showed up for her. I don't care what it was, what time of day it was, whatever it was that she needed. Deetra was Johnny on the spot. Hey girl, I need you to take me to work. Done. I got it. Hey girl, I need you to drop out for class. Okay, what time you need to be there? Hey girl, I need you to watch my kids so I can go do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, wait a minute now. You don't have just one child. You have kids. Baby, you got a whole tribe. What you want me to do with that? But like I said, being the good friend that I am, and I did not want to be considered a bad friend, I was always performing on the spot when I needed to be sitting my behind down somewhere trying to rest, because I had little to any rest, at all. But I know one thing I will say, a lot of times we tend to avail ourselves to others, even though we could possibly be available. And what I mean by that is, if you're sitting home and you're doing absolutely nothing, if somebody calls and says, hey, Deetra, I need you to take me to this place or that place. Normally I would say, oh, sure, girl. Yeah, I can do that. But now what I do is I say, oh, no, I'm so sorry. I'm not available at the moment, even though I am physically available at the moment, but mentally I'm not available. I have checked out. I'm sitting watching Netflix, binge watching TV, so I don't have time for that. And that's something that I've done to allow me to regain control, to take back over of my life, because I had given myself to so many people that I ultimately lost myself. Like I said, I was always constantly running, doing for other people, but never doing anything for myself. And at the end of the day, that does begin to be tiresome. It weighs on you, and it weighs on you heavily. And then you're questioning and saying, okay, I'm so used to being there for everybody else, but who the hell gonna be there for me? I was always looking for and needing a rescue crew, but there was nobody in sight. I didn't have anybody to come to my aid. And the people that I wanted to show up for me, they could not. Why? They were emotionally unavailable. They didn't know how to show up for me. They were so used to always running to me. And it's like, wait a minute, you want what from me? Huh? You're the strong one. And a lot of people feel like just because I'm a strong woman that I'm incapable of being tired. But I get tired all the time. Almost to the point that I don't say anything, because like I said, I don't want to be perceived as a bad person. But I have learned to say no. And that's something that a lot of us need to learn to do, and say no. And we need to mean it when we say no. Hey, I need you to do this. No. You don't have to give an excuse. You don't have to come up with a lie. No. And no means exactly that. It means no, I'm not able to do it. A lot of times we want to follow up and say, oh, no, I can't do it because I'm doing this. Or no, I can't do that because I'm doing that. Or no, I can't do that because of whatever the case may be. We always want to give a response as to why we can't do something, so we won't be labeled or deemed as the bad guys. But at this point, it's to hell with it. I don't give a damn about being a bad guy. If I tell you no, that's exactly what I mean, and don't try to push your buttons. Another thing that will get people to be emotionally drained, and that is if you are a caregiver. Now, I know we love our family members. Yes, we do. And it's not to say that they are a burden, but what you're doing is so laborious, and it can cause you to be a burden. What can cause them to, what I'm trying to say is it can cause what you are doing to be a burden. It's not necessarily to say the person is a burden. It's just that the work that you're doing is burdening to you. It can be a lot, taking on the responsibility of somebody else. I mean, whether it be you're cooking for them, cleaning for them, you're feeding for them, you are bathing them, you're transporting them to wherever they need to be. And then just think about it. Not only are you doing that for them, but you have to do that for yourself as well. So those two things coupled together, that can be so disastrous. So like I said, I know we love our family members. I know we want to do whatever we can to help, but sometimes we have to know our limit. We have to be able to set boundaries, and we ourselves should be able to not to cross those boundaries because they are our family members. We'll be inclined to say, oh, okay, why I do it? Because, oh, that's my mom, or that's my sister, or that's my aunt, or my uncle, or whatever the case may be. We want to be available to people, but at the end of the day, we have to learn to say no and mean it. Now, that's not to say that they aren't probably going to be angry with you. And that is okay because, again, I am perfectly okay with being the bad guy. Hell, I've been the bad guy my whole life anyway. So when I tell someone no and they get mad at me and they throw a temper tantrum or they want to slander me, you know what I say? Hey, that's great that you feel that way, but I don't feel that way. Those are your feelings. Those are your emotions, and I'm not going to take on them because they don't belong to me. You own them. So whatever it is that you're needing from me, all that time and that energy that you're using to spew your hate or your anger on me or your disappointment with me not doing whatever it is that you have asked of me, that time can be used to do whatever it is that you need to get done. So essentially you have wasted your time, and I guess you thought you were going to waste mine, but that's not the case. But I will say this, there are some signs to look for to know that you are emotionally drained, because a lot of people, they do not realize, I don't think that they are emotionally drained. They just look at it as, this is my everyday norm. This is something that I'm used to doing. So it's not out of the norm to them. But there are some signs to look for to let you know that you are emotionally drained. One of the first ones is if you have sudden bouts of depression. Now, that was never my case because I have suffered with depression my whole life. So I'm not going to say being emotionally drained caused me to be depressed, because that's a lie. I have always been depressed. But I have also learned ways to help me cope with my depression, whether it be me writing. I love singing. Whether it be me going out to dinner by myself. Yes, I go to dinner by myself. I treat myself. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not ashamed to sit down at the table. And, you know, it's so funny because they'll come to me and say, how many in your party? And I say, oh, it's just one. It's just me. And, you know, you kind of get that, you know, funny look, but I'm like, hey, I don't care, because at the end of the day, I'm getting the thing that I need the most, and that is time with myself, because when you're constantly availing yourself to other people, you don't really have any time for yourself. Stress, the most obvious one. You have, you're experiencing headaches. I've always suffered from headaches. So I'm not going to say that that's how I knew I was emotionally drained. But what I will say is my headaches intensified, almost to the point where I would literally have to go into a room by myself, shut the lights off, absolutely no sound whatsoever, whether it be a cell phone, TV, radio. It would have to be extremely cold. And when I say cold, I'm talking about the kind of cold that people in hell want. It had to be that kind of cold in order for me to be able to feel better and to be able to bring myself down and woosah, so to speak. Another thing is insomnia, something that I have quite often. Being up at night, not knowing when to go to sleep, and I'm not going to say not knowing when to go to sleep, but not being able to shut down. Because at the end of the day, I have a set time where I try to get into bed, and then that time I take about the first 10 or 15 minutes to just bring myself down, to get myself in the mood and say, okay, hey, listen, you're not working, you're in the bed, you're lying down. It's at the end of the day. Breathe. You're going to make it. It's time to rest. But again, even though I'm in the bed, does not necessarily mean I am going to bed, because I can get in bed. 9:30 is my goal. I can get in bed at 9:30 and I'm not going to sleep until 12 or 1 o'clock in the mornings, because my mind is constantly going. I got to do this. I got to do that, when the thing that I really need to be doing is going to bed. Another thing that you can have is loss of appetite, or you can have an increase in your appetite. And I know for me, unfortunately, my appetite increased, hence the weight that I need to desperately get off of me. But I tend to eat when I am upset. I tend to eat when I am exhausted, mentally, physically, emotionally. I tend to eat when I don't have a solution. I don't know what to do. And that's not a good thing, because like I said, you know, your health is the most important thing, and your mental health at that. But if we are constantly filling ourselves up with things that are not good for us or not healthy for us, I should say, then it can just lead to a number of problems. So now you shifted from just being emotionally drained. You got some health problems. Honey, you got some high cholesterol. You pre-diabetic. You got high blood pressure. And at the end of the day, you need to step away from the table. Now, there are some things that you can do that when you become emotionally drained, I should say. Now, these are things that I do. It's not to say it's going to necessarily work for you, but I'm just giving you some pointers on what you can do if you become emotionally drained. One of the big things for me is now I say, no, I mean it, and I walk away from it. Another thing, you all know I'm a writer, and like I said, writing is so therapeutic to me. It relieves me of so much stress that I'm able to get everything I need out on that notepad, and when it's on that notepad, it's on the notepad. I don't go back and revisit it. I don't go back and relive those situations because it's only going to bring on more stress. Another thing that I like to do is have what I call staycations. It's the equivalent to a vacation. The only difference is you don't need any money to do this, and you can do it from the comforts of your own home. So I have a lot of staycations where I literally stay my behind at home and do absolutely nothing. Or if I want to watch TV, then I'll binge watch TV. If I want to write, I'll write. Whatever it is that I want to do, I typically use that during my staycation. Another thing that you can do is exercise. Now, it's not necessarily one of my favorites, although it should be, but I have now made it a habit of where I walk at least 2.5 to 4 miles a day. I walk 5 days a week now. And when I tell you that is one of the biggest stress relievers ever, because I am, as people love to say, one with myself. I am not focusing on the clutter that's going on in my mind, or I should say that's going on around me. I'm not concerned with, okay, did I forget to do that? Or did I make sure I did this? Or did I do that for that person? I'm not concerned about any of that. When I am walking, it's just that I am walking. I'm not thinking about anything. And that's the way I want it. Now, one of the biggest things that you can do is be selfish. I know as a child you're taught to share, but sometimes you just got to say no to sharing yourself with others. You have to be selfish with yourself. You have to be selfish with your time. Again, like I said earlier, just because you are available does not mean you have to avail yourself to people. They will be absolutely fine. And if they can't get you, I promise you, they're going to get a hold to somebody else who's ultimately going to do whatever it is that they want them to do. Another thing that you can do is you can take on a hobby. I know some people, they like to knit. Some people like to sew. I've recently, and I'm almost scared to say this because it could potentially be a lie and put me in a bad spot, but I have kind of sort of got into cooking. I am not a chef. I cannot cook, but I know one thing is for certain. In order for me to get that man and keep that man, sometimes, not always, you got to put some food in their belly. So I have taken on a hobby of cooking. Hobby meaning that's not something I'm going to do all the time. It's absolutely not. But I do it because I have survived. I have to survive at the end of the day. Like I said, it's just me. Another thing that you can do that I always give myself is a mani and a pedi. Manicure and a pedicure. Just take time for yourself. Whether it's be going to the movies, like I said earlier, going out to eat, giving yourself a mani and a pedi. Go get a massage. Go sit at the park. Whatever it is that you need to do to decompress at the end of the day, that is exactly what you need to be doing. So, just to give you a little bit of a recap, emotionally drained for me is when you are a sponge, essentially, and you are absorbing everybody's problems, everybody's emotions, everything that everybody has going on top of what you have going on. And a lot of times we'll put our needs on the back burner because we're always trying to be there for other people. As I've stated, I've always wanted to be the quote unquote hero, save the day, save people. But at the end of the day, there was no one to save me. And when my cape came off at the end of the day, it was like, okay, what now? I'm so used to going, being busy, and always being there for other people that it kind of made me feel a little bit sad because to know that, okay, I've done everything that everybody's asked me to do. Now it's like they no longer need me. And it was almost like a point where I wanted to feel wanted or I wanted to feel needed by people. And I think that was a lot of the reasons why I was always availing myself to people, because I wanted to feel wanted and needed. And now that that is no longer the case, because I don't care if you want me or need me or not, I am going to reserve time for myself, time that is away from other people and other things, and things that are not going to essentially have me distracted, out of my element, on edge. And another thing that people can do, which I forgot to make mention of, is, and I know some people are going to hate me for this, please get off of social media. Get off of Facebook, get off of Instagram, get off of Twitter, get off of TikTok. You have to learn to deactivate your account sometimes, not all the time. But I know some people, when they wake up, the first thing they do is, let me get on Facebook. Let me see how many likes I have. Let me see who's in my DMs. Let me see who posted what on their Facebook page. And the same can be for Instagram. I thought I was doing myself a favor because I had signed up for Instagram, because I kept saying, oh, it's nothing but pictures. Only thing you're doing is just looking at pictures. But that can be so time consuming and so stressful, because a lot of times that you're looking at pictures, you're looking at other people's lives, and then you're kind of saying, why don't mine mirror theirs? Then you become depressed and you become unappreciative of what you have, because you're too busy trying to get what they have. You're not supposed to covet what your friends or your family members or your neighbors have. At the end of the day, you need to be happy with whatever it is that you have, no matter how big or small it is. You have it, be grateful and thankful for it. Cut your cell phone off. I know we got to catch that phone call from Boo. We need to get that call from Babe. But sometimes you have to put on a do not disturb and cut that phone off. When I write now, I cut my phone off. And before, I used to feel so guilty about it, because I used to say, what if my mama called me and it's a 911? What if one of my nieces and my nephew called me and it's a 911? Oh my God, I'm going to feel so bad that I missed that phone call. But I said, you know what? At the end of the day, that is just something that I'm going to have to deal with. And if I'm unavailable, 9 times out of 10, they almost get someone else. So I don't really stress myself out so much so about that. I just know, for me, my mental health is the most important thing right now, because I have battled with my mental health for 20 plus years. So that is my main focus, my mental health, my emotional well-being, my physical well-being. What am I doing to better Deidre at the end of the day? Because I'm always doing everything to better everyone else and to enrich their lives. But what am I doing to enrich my own life? Essentially, I'm so used to, well, I should say, essentially, I've always added to people's lives, but the things I've done for them have always subtracted from my life and my time that I've had for myself. So again, if you are emotionally drained, or you feel like you are headed towards that point, maybe you can use some of those pointers that I have given you, or maybe you can come up with your own that you want to use. But what you need to learn to do more than anything is say no, take time for yourself, enjoy life, because you only have one life to live at the end of the day. Again, I hope those tips were helpful to you. As always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, my note takers. Bye-bye.